Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video today. Thank you for coming to this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do ensure to like this video if you do find some benefit from it, which hopefully you should do, because it should help a lot of new entrepreneurs, a lot of new business owners, or people just literally operating and want another way to potentially think of how to brand their business and how to progress further. So obviously, as you may well know, I've owned a few businesses in my lifetime. Created from scratch, sold them on. So I've got a bit of experience in terms of how to set up a business, what you should focus on, the mistakes I've made. It can benefit a lot of people once we dive into it a bit further of what you should really be focusing on when starting a business. Because a lot of things, what we tend to do is we tend to neglect them and think, oh, it'll take care of itself, or we don't think of the repercussions after. And then once you're in there, it's quite hard to reverse back the effect. If you can actually start without doing them mistakes, trust me, in the long run, it'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and it'll also benefit your brand as a whole. The first thing, the most important thing, which I think a lot of people probably neglect, is your brand. Your brand has to be on point, especially in this day and age. Look, everyone's Instagram, everyone likes their brand to look flamboyant and stand out from the rest, and you do have to have a fantastic brand name and a brand logo, so that in time, yes, at the moment you may not be doing great numbers, but in time, who knows, you may do fantastic numbers. And then you want a brand which people can resonate with. When people see a logo or a name, they can immediately think of your company and they're aware of your company. So it's a major part of your company. So don't take it lightly. Don't just create a rubbish brand, a rubbish name, a rubbish logo and think I'll change it later. Yes, you can change it later, but you want that to be imprinted on people's mind. Look at Coca-Cola. They barely ever change their logo. Look at McDonald's. They barely ever change it. Amazon barely ever change it, because once you create that brand, that logo, you want people to instantly be able to identify it with your company later on down the line. And if you keep chopping and changing, people won't know who you are. It's like, is this a new company? You know what I mean? So it's very, very, very important you get that right. In terms of your name, you want a nice, catchy name. You want a generic name. Or what a lot of people, I think, do a mistake is they'll choose a name just on that one product or around that one product, not realizing later on you might branch out to other products, other categories altogether, and then your name doesn't seem a bit relevant. So, for example, if you have something to do with beds, because you've started with beds, for example, and you've called it something, Sleep Dreams and all the rest of it, whatever it is, but then you start to do other items like wardrobes, coffee table, your branding doesn't really match the rest of the stuff you do. So in my opinion, everyone's got their own take on it. Obviously, it depends on what you prefer, but in my opinion, I think it should be generic. It should be a generic name, of course, tailored towards whatever niche or category you're focusing on, but ultimately I think it needs to be a bit generic. I think it helps in the long run if you need to expand. Otherwise, you restrict yourself. I always find it a bit strange when I think of, let's say, Carpet World. I mean, if you're going to just do Carpet World, brilliant carpets, that's fine. But if you do branch out to other things, then you can kind of subconsciously just not even know they actually do them, even if they do them, because you just associate it with a certain thing. And that, I don't know. Personally, I think it should be generic. I think that might resonate with you guys. People who are listening to this, you could be thinking, actually, yeah, I did that same mistake, and then it didn't fit when I wanted to do other things, and people wasn't aware I was doing other items or products. Because ultimately, your products will change over time. Your products aren't going to last forever. Your services aren't going to last forever. You're always going to adapt and change with time. So to have a name of your brand built on one product or a service right at the start on that product, I think it could be a detriment later on down the line. So personally, I think it should be a generic name. Once you've got your name, you need to ensure then you create a nice logo. And trust me, you need to, even with the names, have loads of different names. Come out with loads of different names. There's actually a website which I'll try and locate, which actually, if you put a name in, it gives you tons of suggestions, which is brilliant. Because obviously when you're thinking of names and you get a name and you're not too sure, then you just want different alterations and different variations of that name, just to see if anyone has a better ring to it. You want something easy to remember that comes off your tongue easily. So a lot of people can then easily say it, easily get the word of mouth, not having to think, oh, what's that company called? Word of mouth is brilliant. It's one of the best marketing tools. But if your name is difficult to understand, then people will just not know what your name is, and they'll just forget about your company, or they won't be able to tell someone because they can't remember your name. So it's important you have a simple name, or something that you can remember easily, something that just sits well with people. I find it strange when I hear some weird company names. Don't get me wrong, sometimes there's meaning behind it, but personally, I forget about them. I don't know. So when I come to recommend that, I can be like, oh, what's that name? I can't remember. I might have to go on my emails, or I might have to go into something else to find that name. And again, still sometimes you can't find it. And the logo should reflect the name as well. So the logo should be created around it. You should have a very professional looking logo. I think the brand always must look professional, not a cowboy. People can see it instantly now. So a logo, get a good creative design. There's loads on Fiverr. You can go on there and get tons of logos from people who can create one. And so many creative geniuses out there. They'll create something brilliant. And if you haven't got a creative mind, even better, because they'll create something or a few variations, and then you just choose the one you like the best. So it's vitally important you have a great name, a great logo, and they come together to create a beautiful brand. And that's what you want to start off with. You want to start off on a great footing. The next part after that essentially is, which platform do I use? Now there's lots of platforms out there, right? Where do I sell? When I'm referring to platform, I'm talking about website platforms now. So not eBay, Amazon, they're third-party platforms. eBay, Amazon is great. I wouldn't rely on them. Amazon is brutal. They hate these sellers. Yes, people say we can make lots of money on them, and they probably do. Great. But as a brand, they can get rid of you within minutes, and you can do absolutely nothing about it. You can't speak to anyone. There's nothing you can do. They can get rid of you. More importantly, if your brand's doing great, they can copy you and start selling their own products and get rid of you. Amazon I don't like it. I think they're brutal. Yes, great for the customer, but for the seller, as a seller, and you want to build a brand, if it's short term, go for it. But if you're thinking to build something long term, then you have to have your own brand. You have to have your own website. Yes, you can also sell on Amazon at the same time. Why not? Or eBay at the same time. Brilliant. But your brand, you must create your brand, because ultimately that's the only one you have control over. That's the only one you can dictate what you sell, when you sell, how you sell. The others, you're at their mercy. They can do what they want. They can strike you off, they can kick you off, they can penalize you, they can stop your products, they can hold your products, you're stuck. Don't rely on one platform. So yeah, definitely make sure you have your own platform. Now the $1 million question, the reason I actually made this video is because I asked one of my work colleagues, I said, what question would you really like to know? And he instantly said the platform, because he works on the platform. So he was like, you need to get the right platform. Now when I started, obviously I never did a website in my life, so I had no clue. So I just, went around, asked a few people, and the ones that majority of them said was Magento at that time. Now Magento is owned by Adobe, so again, an established brand, Adobe Photoshop and all the rest of it. So their website element is Magento. I thought, okay, let's go with Magento. The beauty about Magento is this: you can create anything you want, however you want, bespoke as you want. You can have it whichever way you want. There's no restrictions. You can have absolutely anything. That is one of the best things one can do. However, it depends on your product. It depends on your business. What do you want out of it? Now, if you want it totally bespoke, you don't want nothing that's been out there already, then go for Magento. Absolutely, because like I say, you could bespoke it. What are the downsides to Magento? You must have a web developer. You must have a very good web developer, and they are not cheap. They are not cheap, and that's why it's a big criticism, because you can get a developer and then you're literally stuck with them, or stuck with a web developer. If you've got a partner or a business partner, or invested in the company and they're a web developer, great. That's a fantastic benefit, because they can manage that, they can deal with it, they can do the coding themselves. It's all about coding. But if they can't and you're outsourcing it, then ultimately they are in control. So if you don't get a good one, it can be a lot of headache, and it can cost a lot of money. It can escalate. Everything you want to do needs to be coded in, and that's money, that's time. And they're charging anywhere between £50 to £100 an hour sometimes, even more. So it can get expensive, guys. And when you're starting a business, you can't afford that kind of money. So I'll come back to it, which one I recommend, but just keep that in mind. Obviously, finances, expenses are key. So if you're spending tons and tons of money on web developers just for your website, you can't spend on marketing, you can't spend on products, you can't spend on staff, you can't spend on your premises or whatever you've got going on. So it's a lot of cost just to a web developer. So that's why I'm going to go on to the next one. Shopify. Personally, If I was to go back in time, without a shadow of a doubt, I would probably go to Shopify. However, there's one bad thing about Shopify, which I don't know why they've not rectified, and I'm telling you now, the day they rectify this, they will get a ton load of medium-sized businesses shift across. When you're a small business, Shopify is phenomenal because it's literally, I think, about 30 quid a month. Even their decent package is about £80 a month or something like that. And they have so many templates, it's literally plug and play. Plug it in and you're off, and you can pop your products on, create a beautiful page. There's so many themes that everything's done for you. It's just phenomenal. Go for it, run. So it's brilliant for a small business. But when you get to a medium-sized business and you're doing lots of transactions, where Shopify absolutely annihilates you is their transaction fees. They charge, I think, about 2 or 3% per transaction. That's extortionate. The day they solve that, so for example, if you have £1,000 of transactions, they can take anywhere between, if I'm not mistaken, so it's about £20-30. And trust me, it adds up, because if you do, let's say, £100,000 a month, we're talking about £2,000-3,000 of just transaction fees. So that's taking out your profit. So it's a lot of money, which money you can be put elsewhere. So for example, Magento is a lot cheaper in that sense, because you can get a third party transaction system, and they will charge anywhere between like 0.5% compared to 2 and 3%. It's a massive difference, and when that's every single month, that's money literally down the drain when it's with Shopify. That's why I'm quite shocked they haven't got a package for someone in between. They've got someone for the high end, your big companies, corporations, because I think they charge about £2,000, but then they do a transaction fee. They have special transaction fees for them, but again, it's quite a lot. £2,000 to begin with. It's called Shopify Plus, and then they charge you for the fees, etc. Right? But they have a different discount for them, etc. But it's still expensive. But obviously, when you're at that scale, you can afford that. That becomes reasonable. But when you're in the middle, and you're not a small business and you're not a large business, but you're in the middle, then there's nothing. Shopify provides you nothing where it's financially viable for you to do that. Because, like I said, the transaction fees just absolutely annihilate you. So the key to a business is you have to keep your costs to an absolute minimum. So if you're paying so much in just transaction fees, you're going to struggle unless you have a phenomenal product with 500-600% profit margin, which is very rare nowadays. Then you're going to struggle. So I wouldn't recommend it personally for a medium-sized business. For a small business, absolutely go for it, because you've got nothing to lose. Your costs at the beginning are very minimal, so that way you can get onto it, start selling straight away, start bringing the money in. And when you're starting new on your own, or just a couple of you, any money you find, any profit you find, it's like you don't think of the negative, because you think, oh, I've created this money and I didn't have this money before. And maybe you've got a side hustle, you've got a job anyway, and it's just a side hustle so you can create some money. So it's fantastic, you can do that. It's very easy to do that. Again, Shopify, the plugins they have, all the integrations with Facebook, Instagram, it is seamless. It is phenomenal for tracking. It is spot on. Magento is horrendous for tracking. Absolutely horrendous. I hate it. I want to kill it most of the time because it is absolutely horrendous. I dislike it. There's always some kind of issues with tracking. The code's not right, or even the code's right. It's just a mess. Your marketing agencies are having issues with it. Your developers are having issues with it. Then you have to get them aligned. It's just a mess. They're not accurate. You don't know then the information you're getting from the analytics is correct, and it can be a nightmare. That's why, although I'm on Magento, I absolutely hate it because of that reason. I do not like it. If I could go back in time, I probably would go on Shopify. And then once I got comfortable and we started making money, I'd probably move to Shopify Plus. Because ultimately, I think overall, it probably outweighs the negatives on Magento. I don't like Magento for that reason. That's the biggest issue I have with Magento. And the thing, because it's all custom made Magento, again, you're relying on developers, you're relying on code. It's not plug and play. Shopify's something. There's so many. It's like an apps. You literally get apps from like an app store, Shopify store, and you can just throw them onto your website, and that's it. It's integrated, and you're off your way. So all them benefits or whatever the app is supposed to do, it'll start working on your website, and you'll give value to your customers. So it's great in that sense. It's very easy to set up, very, very easy. So it's a brilliant. I love Shopify. I think it's a phenomenal platform. I think it's going to grow and grow, especially as we go more and more online. It's done exceptionally well over the years. It's going to keep growing, in my opinion. I'm actually invested in Shopify because I think it's going to do absolute incredible stuff. So Shopify for me is phenomenal. The tracking element, the analytics, Shopify is hands down phenomenal. It gives you accurate results. You know exactly what you're spending, what the return is. You can't ask for anything more because analytics is everything. When you're doing marketing, what you spend, you want to know if it's actually working. And Shopify will tell you that. Magento, I've got no idea. You have to go for other analytics. It's just a minefield. Then you have to go into other areas, really, and still you're not 100% certain if the information is accurate. So that's not good, because in a business you need to be very efficient. You need to know what's working, what's not working very quickly. And if you're not doing that and it's taking long and you can't understand it and you don't have the confidence the information is correct. And I'm actually shocked that Adobe, whatever you want to call it, is so big, such an established brand, such a great brand, strong brand. They've absolutely got monopoly on creatives and all the rest of it. So why are they not neglecting Magento? There's so much more that could be done and they're neglecting it. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, why they're not concentrating more on this, because they can easily take more market share from other places. But I don't know. You'll have to ask them. I've got no idea, because ultimately online is the way people are going, and I think Magento is not staying up with the times. I think it's just going to get left behind, and Shopify and things like that are going to take over and keep gaining more momentum. Another one I hear a lot about, but I must admit I've got no knowledge of it really, is WooCommerce. I'm not sure if that is part of WordPress. WordPress used to be very old, or whether WordPress is different, I don't know. But I think WooCommerce, I get told about that a lot when I'm just discussing it with marketing agencies or things like that. They'll always mention WooCommerce. So I think that's a fairly decent one as well. But I don't know too much about it. I don't know how it's structured, how it works. But I think that's also, if you are looking to start a website, do have a look at WooCommerce. I've never had personal experience with it, so I don't know. Where Shopify, I've actually looked into it. I've really gone into it. I know a colleague and a few other business people have gone on to Shopify, and I've got their account details, so I've looked into it fully, and they're very good. I do love Shopify. I think it's brilliant. But again, like I said, transaction fees on that one. But WooCommerce, I don't know how it works. I think it's similar to Magento. It's a lot more custom based. I might be wrong. They might have moved with the times and a bit more like Shopify. It could be a blend of two. I don't know, but definitely have a look at that. Do a bit of research on that, and then I think they're the top three personally. If anyone thinks of another one, please let me know in the comments, because when I start new websites in the future or a new brand, I definitely want to choose the right platform. So please do leave in comments if there's any other one that you've had great experience with, or I've missed out, or I'm not sure about, or never heard of. Please do leave it, because I will be looking into it further, and I will pick up on that. And ultimately, I want the best platform for me, to make it easier for me, to make my life easier. We need a great platform. And like I said, once you get on a platform, it's very difficult to transfer across, because you're set up, you don't want downtime. So it's important you start on the best platform. The next thing, which I think is vitally important, again, when you're putting products on or services on, you've got to remember, you're always putting data in, you're explaining, you're putting titles in, headers in. It's very important you have an SEO mind at that time. You've got to have SEO mind. Otherwise, what will happen is you put all your products on. Let's say you've got 10,000 products. You might have 5 products. You might have 10 products. That's fine. You can always go back. But when you've got 10, 15, 20,000 products, you can't go back to it's running a business, and then you have to go back to updating titles and descriptions and all. It's very hard. So that's why I use your SEO. Find out about SEO. It's not difficult, but you need to know. Put keywords in constantly in your descriptions, in your titles. What would people search for on Google for your products? Because that is ultimately what is going to show up. If on Google you put in, I don't know, let's say you're selling baby vitamins or vitamins of some kind, but in your titles, in your descriptions, you haven't got that. You've got the product name, whatever it is. Let's say you've called it SpaceX, and you've not really discussed vitamins and all the rest of it in descriptions. And you just need to get the keywords and put the keywords literally how people spell it on Google. You can find keywords. You can go on certain things like Google Trends. You can go on to there's many other websites as well, marketing websites, where you can get ideas for keywords for your product. If you put in a generic name of your product, it'll give all the keywords what people search all the time. Get them keywords, shift them across onto your web pages, onto your product pages, get it in the title, get it in the description throughout your website. That will naturally increase it on Google. and search engines, because that's what people search for. So if people searching for that, that's where your website's going to come up. Your website's going to start at the bottom, but if people keep searching for that information, your website's getting triggered every time, then Google will slowly keep pushing it up. And ultimately, what do you want to do? You want to be on the first page of Google. So it's vitally important, SEO. Again, something a lot of people neglect. They get carried away, they're rushing, just a bit more focus on that. If you do that right now, it'll save you a lot of time afterwards, honestly, because I'm telling you, we tried to, but again, we didn't do it fully because we didn't have the knowledge. So one of my businesses where I had a website with like 40,000 products, and yes, we wrote down it's X, Y, and Z, it's this product, that product, but we didn't search the keywords. Really, what is the customer searching on the internet? Forget what I'm saying, forget how I'm writing it. What is the customer? Because ultimately, it's what the customer searches is what you need to write, not what you think, or what your thoughts are. It's whatever the customer believes and searches for. And there's so many variations. So they could have baby dummies. You know, they could have so many different variations of how they search for that, or kids products. You know, all these keywords, you need to get them into your descriptions, and you need to get them into your product titles. It's vitally important to just escalate your progress on SEO. So that's key. So far we've gone through brand logo, make sure great brand, great logo, great name, great platform. Make sure you get an easy platform, a fantastic platform for your marketing, for your analytics, for putting products on easily, for getting plugins, for adaptations when things change in technology. It's easy to implement new things, and Shopify does that. So Shopify, again, great for that. And SEO, which a lot of people probably neglect. Make sure you find out information about SEO, get that onto your product pages and in your descriptions, because that will help your website ultimately getting organic traffic. It's all good and well paying for traffic on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Snap or wherever you're going to do that, but that's costing you money. SEO is organic, it's free. Yes, it takes time to develop, and you can obviously spend money on that as well, but ultimately you can do it by free in terms of making sure your product pages are optimized, they are spot on, they've got the right product information on there, they've got the right keywords in there. Very important. And finally, on this video, I'm going to discuss marketing. There's so many ways you can market, and ultimately, if you don't market, you're not going to get no sales. Marketing is probably the most important part of your business. It's more important than admin, it's more important than order processing, it's more important than your brand, it's more important than the platform you use, more than important than SEO. It's the most important thing, because without marketing, getting your product or service out there does not allow people to buy that product, and therefore you will earn no money. So marketing is key. How can you improve marketing? One, you must ensure your analytics are spot on. You need to know exactly what you're spending, what the return on investment is. Are you wasting money? When you try different campaigns, different products, different styles, videos, picture, whatever you want to do, all the different creatives, you need to make sure which one is creating you value. And of course, over time, it disappears. You know, people get bored of seeing the same stuff, then you change it, but you need to know which one's working, which one's not working. Whichever is working, double down on it, spend more money on it. The ones that aren't working, get rid, create a new creative. So that's very important. Your creatives for your marketing, keep them going. How to market? Look, you can have influencers. There's so many influencers you can have. It depends on your niche, of course. You can have influencers. You can have, you can actually, the best and the most, I believe the best way is customer reviews. If you give it to customers and somehow you can make them review your product, it's the best marketing you can do, because people ultimately, that's where we are now. We've gone past the influencer stage, because a lot of people know influencers just want money and they'll promote anything. But your customer reviews have actually bought the item and they're showing it. Maybe you can get a video of them showing you, unwrapping it, showing you live. I'm telling you, that will be significant, because a real customer, when he's watching that, will see exactly the customer experience and will understand this customer is being genuine. Even though they might have an incentive, you might give an incentive, but ultimately they're showing what they've bought the product for, number one, and then, or even if they've been given the product, they've got it, and these are the benefits, and it's just live. It's a lot more real. It feels like authentic and genuine, and that way customers relate to that more, and you're more likely to get, probably 5 times more likely to get a sale because of that. So that's very important, and that's a great way of increasing your revenue. And finally on that, I would say agency. Go with a marketing agency. In-house, I don't think it's worth getting people in-house to do it. I think it's a waste of time. I also think you narrow down your thought process, because when you've got someone on the payroll, you are literally restricted with whatever little knowledge they have, and they're not going to have. There's so much of marketing. Some people specialize in email marketing, some people specialize in social media, some people specialize in other types, different platforms. Some specialize just in Instagram, some specialize in TikTok, in LinkedIn, and YouTube. It's all different. It depends on your product, your services, and ultimately you want the best people on that, whoever dealing with whatever platform it is or whatever avenue of marketing you're doing. You want the best people on that. And if you have one person or 2 people in-house, yes, you have them all the time. You can tell them what to do, or you can have ideas. But personally, I don't think it's the right thing to do, because I think there's so many marketing agencies, and they're fairly reasonably priced as well, because there's so much competition. They can do the job, but you got to stay on top of them. You got to make sure they're doing their job. You've got to make sure you have a lot of meetings with them. Don't let them just fob you off and have 1 meeting a month, or 2 meetings every now and then. You've got to be on top of them, because otherwise they will just, for them, they're on a retainer sometimes. So I'm going to come to something else now. A lot of them might be on retainers, or want to be on retainers, where you're paying a monthly fee, and they can sit back and they get a monthly fee whether you're getting sales or not sales. So it's important you stay on top of them. But the way I would do it is always performance-based, guys. There's tons and tons of marketers out there who'll do it performance-based, and so there should be. If I was a marketer, I mean, now it's a bit more of a trend, but even going back 5-10 years ago, I would always do it on performance-based. As long as we can monitor that performance via analytics, etc., always do it on performance, because that way they get paid only when you see the benefits from their campaigns. So if you make money, they make money. If you make no money, they make no money. Brilliant. Benefits both. There's no other agendas. There's no someone's taking advantage. A marketing company's taking advantage here, taking advantage there. No, it's all there in open plain sight. So then therefore, whatever they make, whatever you make, is equal. Now you can have a percentage, whatever percentage you think is appropriate, go for it. Of course, as a business owner, you want to give as less as possible, and they'll want as more as possible. So you have to come to some form of agreement. But whatever that agreement is, it's much better than being on a retainer, even if it costs more than a retainer. Because I'm telling you, because they'll put a lot more energy into it, because they know if they don't perform, if they don't produce the goods, if they don't produce the numbers they want, then it'll just affect them just as much as it'll affect you. So it's vital. And you can have 3-4 different marketers. You don't have to have one. You can have one for social media, you can have one for email marketing, you can have one specialized, just like I said before, for the platforms, for one for Instagram. Do what you need to do. They can all work in tandem, they can all work together, so don't worry about it. So crack on. Make sure you get the best deal for your company, for your business, to make it grow. And marketing is key. Market as much as possible as you can, and make it as obviously that's a large expense. So you need to make sure you're not wasting money. You can't be wasting money on poor campaigns, on poor products, on poor agencies. You need to be on top of it, guys. Right, I hope this video helped. It went on a little bit longer than I hoped, but I hopefully give a lot of value to people thinking of starting a business, who are already in a business and want to perhaps transfer across to a different platform. Whatever it may be, this video should help you, because you need to have a different mindset. Maybe you're just in a rut and you don't know how to get out of the rut. These are some suggestions which you can try. If you've got any questions, by all means throw them in a comment. I will personally respond. I respond to every single comment on here. On TikTok I get thousands of comments. I can't respond. Sometimes some other people respond on my behalf. I try and go through whatever I can. But on here, I respond to every single one. So this is your possibility of getting some genuine feedback, and someone who has literally no interest or in any financial gains from you. And on top of that, there's nothing I want in return. All I'd like as a kind will gesture, if you can, a goodwill gesture, is to get this information out to as many people as you can. So if you can like and subscribe and hit the bell button, because I'm sure there'll be lots of more videos I will do in the foreseeable future. I'll be doing a lot of podcasts, which I've done already, and I'm going to be releasing them soon with entrepreneurs, started from nothing, became multi-millionaires. So yeah, it'll be very, very interesting, this channel, because I want to make it, I love them stories, so you'll benefit as well. You'll learn. Again, the best way to not make mistakes is to learn from other people's mistakes. You will save yourself a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and most importantly, a lot of money. So it's important you learn so you can perfect your business and just succeed and progress and progress and progress. Right, much love to everyone. Wish you all the best. Thank you for watching. Cheers, bye.